So, more unit drops. I do recognize that I'm super vulnerable to air. So this time I think I pick the marksman. My opponent does as well. He is covered on air. Like this, I don't think there's much that can be dropped in the air other than some wraiths that will easily kill everything. Wraiths are actually pretty decent here, but only without the marksman. The marksman will take care of wraiths real quickly. I still don't have much in the way of tanking in the front. Let me speed this one up a bit. So he goes for air. He invests into 3 packs of wasps. I go for a mobile beacon. Not all of these crawlers are moving to the side. Some of them are moving forward. That means less will be missiled. I do go for a missile here. My opponent is apparently missiling these sledges on the side. So what's really new here? And really new is these fortresses. Since my opponent has reduced the DPS of these Stormcallers, these fortresses should actually be surviving a decent chunk of time. And I was also expecting some kind of airplay, which is why I got the marksman. Fortress anti-air barrage will really help. It will really help. For the moment, everything is relying on those marksmen plinking down the wasps, but let's be honest, that is not going to happen this round. My opponent wins it by quite a mile, but I think I am building the better army. Nano repair kit I think is a really decent one for me. It's not like my opponent has infinite DPS on the board. Sticky oil bomb, a good pick for either player. My opponent picks it, I do go for the repair. I have a fortress, or I guess 2 fortresses, that are actually pretty good here. And since my opponent is so heavily invested into those Stormcallers, it's time to drop the War Factory. He does apparently not want me going for any oil or other combat powers. He's really trying to finish it this round. Fangs with shields come out, Wasps with shields come out. He doesn't level these Mustangs. I think that is a mistake. I think you should have always found the money to invest into that. I go for Splash as well. Also go Rapid Resupply. Go for the Fortress Anti-Air Barrage. Temp range. The Fortress gets the item here. Though I think it does not affect the... what's it called? It does not affect the damage the Anti-Air Barrage does. Anti-Air Barrage also very decent for whatever reason at taking out shields. This War Factory undeniably the hero here. Taking so much Stormcaller fire out before it has a chance to land. And under that, the fortress does not have a lot of DPS coming its way, so it's actually staying pretty healthy. Meanwhile, on the other side, it's not even remotely looking that good. The Wasps have pushed through. There's but 2 marksmen plinking them down for the moment. And the marksmen are basically about to be taken out here. And I'm about to get tower debuffed. However, the War Factory is super healthy and there really isn't a lot of DPS on the board anymore. That can hit it, I suppose. So this one's a win. And not a small win. This one is actually a pretty significant win. The Fortress, the War Factory, and a good amount of Stormcallers and one of the marksmen, I suppose. It's taking down my opponent to, well, I'm gonna say about 55% health. Tech-wise, super heavy armor. Tempting. But into mass-produced melting point. I can definitely see him go for some melter action here. My opponent opts for the Wasp Swarm. I skip in the end. I didn't want to invest that money this way. I have the War Factory here, which is still expensive enough. More anti-missile War Factory coming out. He puts Wasps in my back here. Totally reasonable play, but I also don't think it matters a whole lot. The Wasps are first and foremost going to shoot these crawlers, and the marksmen will plink them down relatively quickly, because it's 3 marksmen shooting those. And what would they be really doing in the meantime? Would they be doing anything significant? They would be shooting at crawlers and fangs. So for all I care, they can shoot those wasps. I think that is a mistake overall. That is not worth it. Maybe if you put it here, that could be worth it. But even then, I would prefer more of a wasp flank. And I guess that is in range, so anti-air barrage would win this one anyway. He does invest into the same, a war factory with missile interceptor. Right now, my economy is basically ruined. Do get my temporary buffs, $100 left. I did go for more anti-missile devices. I did kind of expect him to double down on Stormcallers, if I have to be honest. Now the war factories change the dynamic of the entire battle. Let's be fancy with our words here. He has shields on the wasps, but still, like, what would these marksmen be doing? They would be shooting these wasps up front. So is it bad that they are shooting them right now? The wasps in the rear. War factory duel in the middle. There's not really any damage support from either team coming in. A couple of wasps are shooting here. But I do have an additional war factory that is currently shooting at other stuff. At the end of the day, it's a pretty even duel. But I did get the better engagement here. And now my forces are once again just marching through against Stormcallers that can't really do much anymore. The wasps are annoying, but there's a fortress, there's a marksman, another marksman. And they can definitely deal with some wasps. It is panic time for my opponent. We are at very even health, and this is most likely going to be the final round. Phoenixes, definitely, especially with EMP, a solid option. But do you want to go for Phoenixes into someone who has fortresses with anti-air? My opponent thinks so. I guess there's these wasps that are kind of tanking for the Phoenixes. He goes for melters as well. Honestly, I think I would have kind of been in favor of going for more war factory. I do go for the Wraith and sell it. I need maximum amounts of money. Drop another war factory, level this one here, and go for range. If you think about it, I think it makes a lot of sense. Going for range here. What units can beat a level 2 war factory? We're talking about acid scorpions with siege mode. We're talking about melting points. We're talking about phoenixes. The phoenixes, it doesn't really help with the range, but I guess it helps them stay behind other stuff more. So that keeps the EMP off them. Melters can be killed by the war factory very easily if you win the chaff war. And scorpions, the same. If you stay further back, you're going to eat less acid. So I think in every scenario, you kind of want range here. My opponent's melters do not have range, thus they have... yeah, they have 130 meters, but these war factories have 165. That is because of the extra range, the 40 extra range here, otherwise they would have been outranged. This war factory cannot dual mine. And at the end of the day, the opponent is once again sitting on some useless Stormcallers that can't do much. There's anti-missile here, enough of it. And the marksmen take the bin. Which means that is it. So yeah, that is, I think, once more, why Stormcallers in the late game suck. You do not really want to level Stormcallers, unless you already have like 19 packs of them out, and there's nothing in the way of anti-missile missile defense in your opponent's side. I definitely also think that these Mustangs should have been leveled a long time ago. They could have done a lot of levels here. Oh well, that is how the cookie crumbled. I'm kind of glad because that was the opening match of the tournament, and that meant I was staying on a positive path for the moment, with a win to no losses so far.